Hey there, Iria here. This video will showcase my GR142 clear with the Inna's Mantra set in Season 24 with the Ethereals. So let's get started. So pop in a Greater Rift key and let's see what we get. So this starts off as an okay-ish floor. The mob types are not great, but not too bad. We see an Illusionist right away. The idea is to do as much damage as you can before they split, so I make sure I use my Mystic Ally on the fire cycle for the Convention of Elements, and then during the other elements I try to look for other things to pull. So this build is more or less the same one as referenced in the maxroll.gg guide, but I have a link to the D3 planner link in the description below. So yeah, the basic idea of this build is to gather things and then during the cold cycle try to get a proc for the flying dragon, so that doubles your attack speed, which amplifies the damage of your mystic allies as well. And then during the fire rotation to activate your mystic allies and hope you kill what you're trying to kill. Because of the AI for the Mystic Allies, it's kind of random what you're going to get, what gets blown up. So the idea is to try not to pull too much unless in certain circumstances, like if you get vile swarms and things like that. That's okay. Also disregard the commentary from the Demon Hunters channel. Some of you guys are probably getting distracted by that. Yeah, this guy is known to give lots of dad jokes all the time, so... that said, let's keep going. Yeah, the other variants of the build is I'm not using Faith in the Light for Blinding Flash because I wanted a little more toughness since I'm using the Oghild set. So that's why I opted to use the Mantra of Salvation Agility for extra toughness. It's really important to save the Serenity for around the cold cycle such that you basically don't have to worry about anything while you're dealing damage. So I tend to try and use it at the end of the cold cycle so that during the entire fire cycle I'm completely invincible. And so the idea is to just try your best to gather things and keep things clumped up and not gather too many things at the same time, but again trying to do as much damage during those fire rotations as possible. And also make sure that you hit everything with Cyclone Strike. At this point, I'm a little bit ahead of the clock. I didn't want to deal with that elite earlier because he was Wormholer and Waller. This guy is a little bit easier though. Poison Enchanted, Nightmarish, Plagued Waller is not bad. And if I can get the Flying Dragon proc, I can get a lot of stacks of Bane of the Stricken on him to do a lot of damage. So that's the key idea right now, that I'm focusing attacking just the yellow so that I can get as much damage as possible. Because I have the Furnace in the cube and the Oghild set, I have plus 80% damage to elites. So this build does quite well with elites, but as I mentioned before, if the allies attack other things, then the elite's not going to take too much damage. So it really is kind of about managing how big of a bite you want to take out of the monsters. You know, do you eat too many at a time, or you know, do you opt for the smaller snacks? And so this is like a smaller snack. So I'm just gonna try and pull some more things there because the elite almost died, and I don't want to waste a fire cycle just on an elite that has like 3% HP left. So and there he goes. Make sure to get out of the way. Remember that grotesques, when they blow up, that is not a dodgeable attack, and it's physical damage, so it hurts a lot. So just keep that in mind when trying to avoid damage. This next elite's Illusionist, so I decided to just skip, but I still want to do some damage with the fire cycle here. Unfortunately, I don't have the Flying Dragon proc. As you can see, the attack speed was a bit slower. So that's just part of the build. You just got to rely on luck. So let's keep going. This next floor has some pretty good mob types for progression. The fact that they also stack up quite nicely. So I can do quite a bit of damage, Get a little bit further ahead on the clock there, just a sliver. And this is when, I notice there's a shiny pylon there that everybody always wants to find. And now I'm looking for some elites to bring towards it, but I don't find one nearby, so let's look the other way. And I find one here. Now this elite normally is a skip. This elite with wormholes and in a tight area with lots of arcane beams is extremely dangerous. So this is normally where I would skip, but because we have that juicy yellow pylon there, we're going to activate it after the fire cycle and then try to just kite around to kill everything as much as possible without getting completely annihilated by all those arcane beams. So yeah, the idea here is just to try and survive as much as you can. Remember, you cannot dodge arcane or other ground affixes, so dodge chance will not help with that. But you can at least save the serenity for when you need it. And at this point, it's just the elites remaining. The arcane enchanted one dies, and now we're just left with the single other one who's about to die. Now I don't have anything for my fire cycle here because of the conduit, but that's okay. That's when we notice that there's a shield pylon here and some trees down below. However, my conduit's running out, so I only have a chance to really kill one, so I'm going to choose to kill the juggernaut that's near me. And I can almost kill him before the conduit runs out, but he'll definitely die on the next fire rotation. So that's where we're going to focus our damage there. So yeah, the idea is just to during the shield pylon, don't have to worry about anything really, just focus on the elite and using Cyclone Strike when you need to during the at the beginning of the fire cycle. So now we're just going to skip those trees and look around here. We see a little shortcut, so we don't have to go the long way around the left. Kill some more trash here. We're quite a bit ahead of the clock because of that conduit, so this is actually a good indicator to keep going, even though this floor isn't very good. The mob type is actually okay. So with that, I kill a little bit more, continue onwards. Here we find some archers. Archers are not generally the best because they like to walk away, as you can see, as I'm fighting them in melee range. Because they're archers, they like to walk away and fire from a distance. And I also noticed that those trees like to follow me. I guess, they wanted to be part of the action here. So here, I'm now focusing on the returned archers that have the most health. As you can see, the one on the left is at low health, so I'm going to get stricken stacks on whichever ones are remaining. Unfortunately, I don't have a flying dragon proc for that fire cycle. Now it looks like all three archers are still alive, but one of them has a lot more health than the other two. Now that archer went downstairs, so I'm going to move to the right to lure him to come back upstairs, because I can't really Cyclone Strike up the stairs, but once he's at the top of the stairs I can pull him. Unfortunately, I did not kill the last returned archer. That's something that you have to deal with. As an alternative, you can try running with the executioner in the cube instead of the furnace. That'll help with clearing trash a bit easier, but the elites will last a little bit longer, so it's kind of a trade-off. In that build, you want to focus more on trash and less on elites. So now we get everybody's favorite floor, the Ruins of Corvus. And here, at least I get a mob type that stacks okay, and again, it's not great, but it's not Vile Swarms or Transformers, but still pretty good. And so here we just want to do some damage. Again, sometimes you don't get the Flying Dragon proc. It's only a 4% chance to proc on hit, and it has a 3-second internal cooldown when it procs, so it's possible you will not have it up all the time. But just do your best to try and keep that buff activated. It's not going to show up on your indicator, but you can tell by your attack speed going much faster. So at this point I look for some more elites. I find two. Unfortunately, one of them is Arcane Illusionist, which is not really my favorite, as I mentioned before. And here we do not have a conduit or a shield pylon to keep us safe from those arcanes. So this becomes now kind of kiting around during the off rotations, and then during the cold rotation trying to get a little bit closer, and then using Serenity during the fire cycle to try and do as much damage as possible. So that's the key here. Again, just having to hope that you get the Flying Dragon proc and your allies target the correct things, which can or cannot happen sometimes. So yeah, so here I get a little bit stuck in a little bit of a corner, especially with some arcane beams. That's very dangerous, so I use my Serenity, blow some stuff up, and dashing strike out of there. Do not stay there for sure. So it's very important to keep moving. Since I am using the Crystal Fist, the dashing strike also gives me extra toughness, and I'm using the rune for dashing strike, which gives me 40% more dodge chance. Here I tried to kill the blue reviled, but I got lucky and actually killed the yellow illusionist as well. So with that I moved on, and I found the channeling pylon, which is probably the third best pylon you can find, the conduit being the best, power being the second best, and the channeling being the third best, because I can just liberally use all my skills as much as I can. So as you can see, my Mystic Allies off cooldown very, very quickly, so I don't actually have to worry about timing for the fire cycle. I can just pretty much just use it as much as I can. This elite is illusionist, so it does take quite a bit to take it out, but with the extra defensive options from being able to use my mantra and Serenity as much as I can stay alive for pretty much the whole thing. So just have to make sure that you remember to keep pressing all those buttons. Channeling Pylon is mash the keyboard Pylon. So just keep pressing all those buttons and hoping damage happens. So now the Channeling Pylon has ended. Make sure to save now the Mystic Ally for the fire rotation. And so here I try to use it and dashing strike out of the way at the last second. And so that's very important to make sure that you keep your Crystal Fist buff as up as possible. And there I was a little bit slow, and you can see what happened with those frozen explosions. That I lost my near-death experience right there. So with that we can continue onwards. I'm going to check to the left. Okay, that's the tile set. That's a dead end. So I'm going to now go to the right, hoping the end of the floor is near here. Unfortunately it's not. So, well, the elite is still pretty low, so we can go ahead and kill him on the next fire cycle. And there he goes. Grab all the orbs, continue onwards. And so now I want a dashing strike through the wall here. Oh, wait, nope, can't go through that wall. There's a closed door over there. So you got to make sure that you open all those doors before you can go through the walls there. Save up for the next fire cycle. Do some damage. Unfortunately no flying dragon, but let's keep going. So I'm at 96%. I don't want to spawn the boss here. I'm hoping for another pylon, since I haven't seen a power pylon. That's the pylon we want to see. But yeah, let's see what we get. So here we're going to do some damage during that first fire cycle. Again, no flying dragon proc. But sometimes, you know, you get it, sometimes you don't. So let's move on a little bit, see what's out there. Then we see some fire chain spiders. We don't need to kill the elite. There's enough trash around here that we're already at 99%, so we don't actually need to focus on these elites. But now is the perfect time to scout ahead to see if we get that pylon. It's a speed pylon. So while the power would have been better, the speed pylon itself is actually quite good for the boss because of the stricken stacking, and you'll see that in a moment. So here we are at the boss with a speed pylon and flying dragon going full tilt at 5 attacks per second on this poor unsuspecting Rift Guardian. So you'll see what happens during the fire cycle, because I stack, I don't know how many, I can't count. And there we go, over half of his health in one cycle. But I did get a meteor to the face, so I have to be careful. I do not want to die, although I did not die yet, so the timer wouldn't be hindered very much. So now just make sure to dodge the next meteor and activate, and there we go. And with this I got rank 4 overall and rank 1 Innis. So that here's the skills that I used and what gear I have, and thanks for watching.